Hello and welcome to the Celebrity Poolside Chat. Joining us today is Bronxville Police Chief Carl Steinmuller. Chief, welcome.
Welcome to the show, Chief.
Thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me. Certainly appreciate it.
You've been police chief since 1971. Is that correct?
1971, 19 years, right?
So how long have you been working in Bronxville?
40 years. Comes next month, yeah. August will be 40 years.
Let's talk about crime. Burglaries seem to be the major crime in Bronxville.
Yeah, house burglaries are your major crime. Yeah, well, right now we're facing the car break-ins. That seems to be the major crime now. Now, of course, with these radios breaking into cars, years ago we used to have the breaking of the trunks and take spare tires and batteries. Of course, when the hood was open, you can open the hood from the outside. Now you can't. And they would buy drugs, heroin, by stealing batteries and things. They would sell them and buy. Now it's crack by stealing radios. So our biggest problem now is car radios. But the most serious crime, of course, is you're breaking into the house.
Has there been any increase in the burglaries here?
No. I think there's been a decrease, more or less a decrease in house burglaries over the years I know. But you get a series of them, and you might get 1 week, you might get 3 or 4 houses broken into, and then it'll stop. You won't see any houses broken into for another 6 months. It's like a seesaw crime. It's up and down.
Have there been any bank robberies?
Yes, I was involved in one. It goes back in the 60s. I was a detective sergeant then, and we got a call to the bank, Federal Bank, I think, Westchester Federal Bank, that they just got held up for, I think, $60,000. And the manager was kidnapped. Well, we traced the thing and where he was dropped off. He was dropped off at the Springbrook Parkway. And the robber says, okay, you go ahead and walk. And he let him go. No harm done, no physical touch on the manager. Well, we tried to, we did some detective work, but we never could find out who actually committed the robbery. About a year later, the same manager called the police department. I was still a detective sergeant. And the manager said the same man that held me up a year ago is in the bank now. And so I said, are you sure? He says, yeah, I'm sure. So I responded to the bank. And my lieutenant, I told my lieutenant, who's a lieutenant now, he was a detective, Lieutenant Gagliardi, stay outside in case this particular individual they're talking about walks out. We'll get a license plate number and see where he's going. So I went into the bank, and I see the manager pointed out the suspect. But before I went to the bank, I had a raincoat on, and I took my gun out and I put it in my raincoat, just in case, So I asked the manager. He pointed to that man. So the man had his back to me, and I sort of touched him. I said, can I speak to you a minute? I'm a police officer. I'd like to speak to you a minute. Then with that, he turned around and he took out a pistol and started firing. Of course, I ducked back and I moved back. I took out my gun and I started firing. I was fortunate enough that I did shoot him first before he shot me. Now, everybody in the bank, of course, is going under the chairs or wherever they can duck. So finally, I actually hit him because I seen, and this is a little gory, I seen blood coming out of him, and I figured, well, I had him. And he leaned back in the chair, and I guess that was it. But the ironic thing about it, that when I searched him, he had another gun here, down in here, and I only had the one gun, which only had 6 bullets. So I used all my 6 bullets. But that was the most serious thing that I recall in the village, okay? And I guess that's serious enough if you face one of those deals, because you're talking about 15 feet, 15 to 20 feet. Yeah.
Do you have any fun stories or funny situations that you remember?
40 years.
Hotel Gramerton, if you remember that one, okay? The lights were on Hotel Gramerton, and some college student apparently took off the EL and the TAN, and it spelled Hot Grandma. So that was a laugh for a long time. And then 15 years later, I met the guy who did it, and he told me I was one of the college kids that went up and climbed up the Hotel Gramerton and took out them bulbs. So.
How long did that go unnoticed?
Well, it was 2 or 3 nights. 2 or 3 nights before somebody actually called up.
We found out you did a book in 1974, a children's book. Could you show it to us?
All the people you have in this book here, except myself, are retired. Yeah, Whaley is retired. He was a sergeant at one time. They're all retired and still living.
It's a nice book.
Yes, it is.
Thank you for being here, Chief Steinmuller.
Thank you very much for coming.
Very happy to have you here by the poolside, so sit back, relax, enjoy the sun, have another glass of iced tea. Now, we return to Michael Hart, and we'll see how well he's done with my car.